All right, welcome back to the breakout series Halloween Havoc. I hope you guys are all getting in your votes for this Satoris tabletop gaming MVP. I see a lot of votes right now for Listic, and I can definitely approve of that one, but you still have to wait it out because we've got one last match, the grand finals, the rematch of the first match of today. Team BOZOS versus Gundam Unicorn.
Yeah, that was a great match, and we talked about this before, but Gundam Unicorn just look better and better as time has gone on. Throughout this tournament, they have just gelled more and more together, and they are very, very much capable of taking this grand final. But I'm so happy that we get to be in the grand finals here of this tournament and have a team that we didn't expect to be in grand finals have a great fighting chance in grand finals against, of course, what was considered very possibly the favorite to win the entire thing. So this is just exactly what I wanted to see from, this brand new scene, Gundam Evo. It is still so new, and this is exactly what I want to see out of it.
Yeah, at the beginning of the day, we started off, of course, with the Underground Command Center band, but let's go ahead and take a look at the journey that got us here. This is from our Matcherino page. There's still time if you guys want to get onto Matcherino right now, complete a few quests on there, and contribute to the prize pool. We are over $500 to be split amongst our top teams now, but this is just a journey of Team BOZOS knocking down teams left and right. Our losers finalists Inarizaki and Gundam Unicorn both sent down to the losers by Team BOZOS.
Yeah, and of course, 2-2-0s. We've had only a single 2-1 throughout the entire tournament, either on or off broadcast, which is really ridiculous. But I mean, of course, it was a very close 2-0. I know it's a weird thing to say, but it has very much been the case for a lot of the matches today. And now, again, this is going to be grand final, so it will be a 3 out of 5. It's a very different set just going in. It's a very different mindset. There are going to maybe be some maps that some of these teams are not as familiar with, and I want to say unpracticed or less familiar with, but definitely not Flak Fort levels, which we've been seeing the entire time so far.
That's right. Things are changing up a little bit here because we have a 7-map pool. That means we only have one round of bans. And so we'll have our first 4 picks, and then the final one, of course, will just be left there to the wayside in the 5th map if we get there. I don't know if Team BOZOS is going to allow that to happen because they have been absolute dominant across the last 2 days.
Yeah, they, again, they are the reigning champions of the EGL tournament that just happened, and for very good reason. They're just playing so well together as a team. They have so many of the really important roles locked down. They have, of course, some of the best players at their suits in the entire region, or maybe even some of the best in the world. I would love to see, of course, regions like Japan and NA and EU all play against each other, but, they are for sure up there. They're for sure within the very, very tippity top percent. Again, of course, like Duke being literally ranked number 1 on the leaderboards is a ridiculous feat, playing solely that Exia, but they're just their combination of their individual skill with each of their units, and then their skill as a team together, which has been just completely flawless as well. There's just been no crack in the armor. Of course, being in grand finals without having lost a single game is just such an incredible feat. So they're really trying to kind of pop out as the dominant force here in the Gundam Evolution New Type League. I'm really excited to see, though, what kind of a fight Gundam Unicorn could put up against them.
Yeah, one thing we do have to note as well is that, right now, actually across the last 2 days, BOZOS has been plagued by disconnects. Unfortunately, Spoo has been having issues with it, and we do have to note it, right? And the fact is, they still bounce back. They find themselves in difficult times when the reconnect happens, but once Spoo is back in, it's like nothing changes at all. They get right back to their same game plan and their same kind of dominance. So we're just praying now for Spoo's internet. We don't know exactly what's going on in that regard, but we do have to mention it. That's something that happens, unfortunately, in online tournaments. But they have been able to kind of just brush it off and then get right back to their original game plan.
Yeah, it's actually like, obviously it's not good for them, but it's kind of like a statement to be like, yeah, we had, 2-3 disconnects in a single game of domination, and we still won that game of domination. Like, it's like, okay, relax. In winners finals of a tournament, I know it's a flex, but yeah, I did see Smooth talking about how it's their ISP in the chat. So hopefully it's better. I think they said it might be better. Hopefully there's been something fixed, but clearly, even if that happens, Smooth can get back in relatively quickly, and they can just get right back on it. At least it's not like a full game disconnect. But again, that just makes them that much scarier, right? And if they don't have disconnects, then that's even that much scarier. here. So we love to see that level of coordinated play. But Gundam Unicorn, again, they've been I would say like the most successful team to bring more unique picks. And Narizaki did actually have a super unique set of units that they chose in the last game, but it didn't quite work out for them. It did kind of worked out, but overall, bringing the RX-78, not bringing usually the Methis, I believe, on the team, but being flexible, of course, with what they can choose around based on the map and the comp of the opponent, of course. I just love that the ability to be flexible in that way, and I've been loving the usage of the RX-78. We saw that it was working very well against BOZOS before. I don't really expect that we're going to see too much of like a wild switch like we saw from Narizaki in the previous game. I want to see them just play their best. I think they totally stand an extremely close chance of being able to topple the giant that is BOZOS so far.
And now we're getting into the map bans. Today started off with Underground Command Center and I believe Harbor City, both being the bans for, well, our first match in the winners finals and in the losers finals. We'll see if that one remains to be true. Our first ban coming in just a moment here. I mean, I don't know what. No one wants to play Underground Command Center. I want to see some sniper, and those are the two maps where you're going to see sniper on point A, Harbor City and Underground Command Center. Just waiting on that in just a moment, but it looks like it's going to be BOZOS, of course. With a higher seed, they'll have the first map ban, and then of course after the first round, it's just going to be picks all the way across. So we'll get that in just a moment. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of confusion, it seems like, in the map ban. We also had that yesterday where teams didn't realize there was a pool to play off of. I believe there's 10 maps total currently in Gundam Evolution. We only have a pool of 7. There's just too many maps to have to practice at that point if we did have all 10 available.
Yeah, it's there was actually some surveys that went out, like what are your favorite maps to play on competitively, for example, like which maps do you not like, I think was more of the question, and so it kind of just got pulled down to like a smaller group to make things a little bit more manageable just for this tournament. Again, I love everything that all these TOs have been doing to try to like figure out like let's try this, and hey, if overall some of the teams say maybe they don't like this exact map pool, then things can change, right? This is still a new scene, it's a completely new game, we're all trying to figure out everything, but so far it has seemed to be pretty smooth. And again, this is grand finals, the process is a little bit different, so it's very understandable that the teams are just trying to figure out exactly how things are working. But as time goes on, as tournaments go on, people are gonna learn a lot better.
Yeah, so Underground Command Center was the first ban coming out from BOZOS, and on the other side, Flak Fort is actually taken off the pool, and that one was actually picked up by Gundam Unicorn. And after that point A hold coming out from Team BOZOS, I can understand why.
Yeah, this might be, I think, the first ban that we've seen on Flak Fort. Usually we see Flak Fort as the first pick, so we're undoubtedly, I think, going to see some really interesting maps coming out this set. At the very minimum, we're going to be seeing 3 of these remaining 5 maps. So 2 of these are Domination, of course, 2 of these are Destruction, and then Harbor City is just point capture. So we might see a decent amount of Domination, and Domination has been a really strong game type, I think, for BOZOS in the previous sets that they've had. They've actually gone to, I think, more than most of the other teams. But we're going to see, there we go, right off the bat.
Yeah, that first pick, it's going to be Mountain R&D. That is the pick of BOZOS as well. Thermal Plant is going to be available, and we saw them when they had the full 6 up. They look absolutely dominant when it comes to these maps. Quarry is the pick coming out from Gundam Unicorns there for map number 2. And now we got to wonder, what is map number 3 going to be? If they picked Mountain R&D and Thermal Plant is open, I imagine Thermal Plant is going to be their pick.
Yeah, we could see a domination heavy set this time around, or we could finally see somebody choose Ministry of Defense just because we want to see every single map here throughout the tournament. No, I'm just kidding. That might be the only one that we don't see. It wouldn't, again, it wouldn't really surprise me. But yeah, so far, Quarry has been kind of, I think, the second safest pick if you don't want to play domination. We've seen people go to it a good amount. We just saw Quarry in that last set, so not a huge surprise to me that it's going to be picked. But we could see Harbor City. We saw Harbor City one more time before. But overall, based on what we've seen throughout the rest of the tournament, I'm going to have to assume it's probably going to be Thermal Plant, but it's pretty up in the air, of course.
And then we might actually get to see Ministry of Defense. I mean, if this does go to 5, we will be seeing all these remaining maps regardless. Yeah, so I am really excited. It looks like Harbor is the second pick coming out from the BOZOS. And that is an interesting pick because we only got to see it that one time, and it was a hell of a match. Inarizaki versus Powerpuff Girls on that one.
Yeah, I am. Again, I totally understand why we don't see as much Harbor City from a lot of the teams, but I love watching Harbor City because I feel like a lot of the plays are very like clear and concise, and just the ways that people push through the points. I think as like a spectator, I'm a big fan of watching it, but it can be very, very tough to get through some of the choke points and through some of the really wide open spaces. So I'm surprised that we're going to see it there, but then we're going to see Ministry of Defense map 4. It's not going to be the decider. It's not literally the last pick map possible.
Wow. Wow. And I can understand that for Gundam Unicorn want to try and stay away from that last thermal plant. Make that the decider. We'll see what they can do on a destruction map of Ministry of Defense. That'll be the first time we actually get to see it here for this tournament on broadcast. So those are our 5 maps, our first 3. Mountain R&D, Quarry, and then Harbor City. Can BOZOS do this in 3, or will it go the distance? Do Gundam Unicorn have an answer to the Duke dive that's been coming in for that BOZOS squad?
Well, I've got to say, I actually don't think we've seen BOZOS so far on. We've seen them in Domination a decent amount of times, but I don't think we've seen them in Mountain R&D Lab, unless I'm misremembering. I think we saw a lot of it from, like, for example, like we saw it from Powerpuff Girls, I think a couple of times, but I don't know. I could be totally wrong on this. There's been a lot of games over the past few days, but I feel like that's a really scary team to fight on Mountain R&D Lab. One of the best flanker maps in the entire game, and it can be just such a tough thing to deal with any Exia on that map, let alone one of the best Exias. I just feel like the team in general has already proven that it's great at those chaotic little mid-range fights. So I'm curious how it's gonna go. But like you said, there's a lot of maps. We've got a lot of opportunities here. It's not just gonna be that first 2 out of 3. I do hope that we at least get to see it go to game 4. I hope it's not a shutout, A, because I want to see more competition, and B, because I want to see Ministry of Defense. But BOZOS has shut out everybody so far.
Yeah, starting off on Mountain R&D, we did get to see that it was an amazing match between Powerpuff Girls and Inarizaki in our last match of the day. And the main focus for this map, even though it can be flanker heavy, we're seeing right now in competitive, it's not as easy to catch those flanks. You're not getting in there with Zaku 2. Exia still has to kind of maneuver their way on in. They have the tools to do it. 4 dashes will definitely help you with that regard. Yeah. But it's all about holding that high ground, letting your Pale Rider shine.
Yeah, getting that high ground with the Ashimars and the Pale Riders has been just gigantic. Dom, we saw. I mean, that's partially because Dom is really good on this map, hitting those tiny little choke points, or the little small areas that are actually the points on this map. They're pretty tiny compared to the other maps. But also, of course, that was just Casino being ridiculous, who I believe is one of the options to vote for MVP. Everybody go vote for that. But yeah, I mean, Exia, of course, the great teams, they're not going to get flanked as well by Zaku 2, like you were saying. But Exia is still Exia, and Duke is still Duke. So I would be very, very scared here. And just the mobility we saw in that match that you were mentioning, the Powerpuff Girls versus Inarizaki in the last match of yesterday, and actually the deciding game of yesterday, we saw that whoever was able to hold that high ground first had such an advantage, because you can go from the A side high ground to the C side high ground in literally like 5 seconds, or opposite, or go from, if you have either of those high grounds, you have the high ground on B already. You just literally look to your left or look to your right. So it really comes down to who can win that first fight and hold that position better, I think.
And very importantly, it does also come down to the Ashimars. Either side should be running it here, applying that extra AoE pressure with the Molotov. If a team gets that high ground first, is going to be extremely important as we are waiting for map number 1 to get underway. This is going to be one hell of a grand finals. The rematch of our first match of the day, BOZOS versus Gundam Unicorn. No flack for it. That's just crazy to me thinking about that once again. But Mountain R&D is really going to show who is the better team fighting team. This is a symmetrical map. Either side gets the point at the same time. It all comes down to who has the better understanding of how to approach this fight, who gets the better Molotov off, and whose Pale Rider will be able to succeed on that high ground. Now, we didn't really get to talk about it, but point B is one of those interesting points as well, where we're seeing a lot of teams actually approaching that one in a very, I guess, like drop-down heavy manner, right? On the retakes, every team tries to take that high ground in the middle, drop down, and then go for, I don't know, like a drop-down punch or a drop-down screaming Nimbus and fight for point B.
Yeah, it can be a really tough thing to take that point back, because as soon as you take it, the entire team can stand in so many different angles. So if you can find one of those spots to, you know, drop down, of course, Screaming Nimbus is one of the best retake options in the entire game, or take options in the entire game. Just really good at controlling any points or areas. But if you can, you know, find one of those like 3-person punches, which we actually saw a 3-person or 4-person punch landed Ashmar G maneuver in the like plays of yesterday highlights video. We saw that happen on this map. Punch is huge, huge, huge. There are a lot of these tiny little hallways. If too many people are standing in one place, you can just completely wipe them, win that first team fight, take back that point completely. But it really, again, it all comes down to the positioning and how comfortable people are like standing in different areas. And also, I'm curious if we're going to see the Gundam Unicorn, because Gundam Unicorn is a very, very strong option sometimes on this map, right? If everybody's standing on the high point, it's great. If everybody's standing together down in B, it's great. That can leave you a little bit open to some big G maneuvers, but also on A or C, you can kind of split yourself up. So it can be a little bit scary, just a teensy bit scary. We saw the pick going to the Gundam Unicorn sometimes, but sometimes not on this map. So it all comes down to personal preference, I think.
Yeah, I like the idea of the AoE heals, especially in a very deathball heavy meta, but I think also the extra tool, that having that extra CC, the push from its ability, maybe try and knock someone out. Instead, you're not relying as much on an Ashamar punch or an Exia to knock target down and try and isolate them if you're trying to retake heights. But it doesn't seem like we're going to be seeing Unicorn coming out. We do have a Gundam getting picked up here on our first fight.
And here we go. We're going to be starting off on A, so it's a fight for this high ground. And immediately, of course, we're going to see who can land the best Molotov. That was a full one. Look at that. Almost 15% already built.
But the Exia flank coming out from Team BOZOS, that's going to be Duke in the back line, pulling them back. They do find a knock onto Spoon. That's the Gundam Unicorn going down. Ashamar now in, along with James on the Exia, and that's a full team wipe for Gundam Unicorn.
Oh my gosh. This guy, I love the comms, dude. I love the comms telling you these guys are definitely friends, right? They're definitely friends outside of whatever game they happen to be competing in. That's a really great team fight, and a lot of it was so much because of that firebomb from the Ashamar. Oh wow, the escape using the verticality, dropping down and then coming back up. That was a little bit risky, but still they are holding on to this top spot decently well. A lot of people downstairs actually. They might lose this high ground.
Yeah, they're fighting for the point though, as the challenge is coming in. 28 seconds remaining now, and Gundam Unicorn are still holding on. Here is the run back from Force as he does get back onto the point with the squad, has the molly available, and does send them back. Now with 17 seconds remaining, I don't think there's going to be enough time for them to regroup and try and contest this one. As you can see now, the focus is immediately on taking the high ground, as this point will be swapping on over to C.
Yeah, but what a great hold. That was, I mean, a huge amount of percentage just sitting there, just not able to get even a single point. But oh my gosh, that was really loud. I think that's, yeah, the POV of an Exia. I was about to say that extremely loud dash punch sound is somewhat telling, but again, we're seeing the Exia duels down below. Pretty similar HP. The Sazabi's going to go and ruin the party, but Tism is going to potentially finish off that Sazabi and get the res. So that is going to be a really nice spot for BOZOS, trying to cap C as it spawns.
And now the high ground being established here by Duke. He does have to back away to pick up this mini, and unfortunately it's going to be the Sazabi that picks that one up. And throughout all of that, Tism actually goes down. And so now they are fighting a man down, and the point will go on over once again to Gundam Unicorn here. Team BOZOS playing from behind once more. They do have that Ashmar punch if they need to evict them from that high ground, if he can find that angle. But we saw before, on the other side, Gundam Unicorn have been doing a great job of keeping an eye on the skies. We've got the Hades coming up along with the Gundam Unicorn ultimate now, but they just push forward without any ultimates. There's the Gundam ult going down. You can see how large it is, but they do end up clearing out that super napalm. And now as we swap on over, the Hades is available here for Team BOZOS, but do they need to rely upon it? They might, as James ends up picking up two. The trades are there for them though, but the Hades from behind might just be too much, as Tism will go down, and now it's gonna be 90% almost being picked up by Gundam Unicorn here in the first round.
Yeah, that is so dominant. I mean, that was a pretty late Hades to use for that point, but again, we've seen that it's pretty valuable to try to use whatever you can to win team fights, even if you're not going to be holding that point for very much longer, because you want that high ground going into what's going next. Here we go, we see the Trans Am activated, gonna land on a chunk of them, not quite able to get the damage it wants on the Sazabi. The Sazabi is gonna back up. This might be able to close it out. No, the health pack already picked up, and this Trans Am might be not getting really anything.
It didn't get anything, but it bought space, or maybe Tism just destroyed the entire team there. Objective A will go the way of our BOZOS squad, who have a lot of ground to make up for. 12% versus the 88 on the Gundam Unicorn side, but they do have this high ground now. They've got 3 G maneuvers available, the Hades, the Screaming Nimbus, and the funnels, and it's a full 5-man coming around from the other side. You can see, though, the flank coming out. We'll see if this Ashmar can get much. He does have a long ways to go to try and get that ultimate G maneuver back on up, but it's just kind of a reversal of positions, but it's a trade 1-for-1. Ender's going down. They end up getting the tank at the very least as Zabi falls. The Hades is there for Tism as he picks 2 up on that one subject going down, and it looks like the retake is here for Gundam Unicorn. Now there needs to be a fight on the point, extra time ticking away. BOZOS need some presence, and they do end up taking it.
Wow, they've got a lot, 70% to try to make this back. There's going to be, of course, a regroup from the side of Gundam Unicorn, but they just have to get them all off point a single time. That's all it's going to take. And again, it looks like they're going for this push from the other side, and it's just been working really well so far. It's been really hard to kind of get people off of this high ground, but Gundam Unicorn, a pro at this map, totally understand why they're picked it here, and they are going to get some picks, and this is looking really good.
That's Duke and their other DPS Tism down. They find the tank as well, and they're just patient with it and surgically pick apart the BOZOS squad. It looks like the first round on the verge of going the way of Gundam Unicorn, and it will be first blood for Gundam Unicorn.
Wow, and that was dominant. You hear the comms right there. He said just like that. That is surprising. We were talking about how BOZOS is really just the dominant team so far, but I mean, this is just looking like such a good map for Gundam Unicorn. Their coordination is so strong. They are not afraid of like finding those moments to push into a full 5v5 team fight on those high grounds, even just having to jump over the pit, which can be very, very scary. But the way that they're engaging, the order that they're engaging is very, very strong. They just have that level of, I don't know, just synergy, just natural synergy, right? Like, again, I'm going to say it a million times, but you can tell that these people just know each other, right? They just know each other as players, as people probably, and if they continue playing like this could be a pretty big upset.
We heard their comms at the beginning of the day, or at least at the beginning of that match. Just watch for the XEF flank, and they have been doing an amazing job of it. There's a little bit of a scuffle at I believe point A opening, where Duke almost found that flank and almost got the kill. It was down to about 100 HP. It was so close. But here we go once again onto point A for round number 2 here on Mountain R&D.
Yep, and once again, of course, we're going to be fighting for the high ground. Ooh, taking a little bit of a low approach to kind of flank from the low ground, and it's going to work pretty well. Didn't quite get the knock on the Pale Rider, but is going to find the Dom.
Yeah, he did that first damage, and Tism was able to follow up with that. The high ground take is here for BOZOS. So a nice adjustment coming out from Duke. Before, it looked like he might have just ran underneath on that tunnel. He's going to go ahead and keep an eye on that C side to make sure that the flank isn't there for the challenge. Another one going on over. That should be, I believe, the Ashmar to hold it down, and it is going to be the full 3-man push coming out. Oh boy, they are forced back instantly. Ender's getting taken out, and so great awareness coming out from BOZOS to maintain presence on both platforms.
Yeah, BOZOS is starting to say, okay, hold up. Every single time that we have this high ground, they are just pushing from the exact opposite site, and it's worked every single time so far. So let's just be ready for that, which obviously makes a lot of sense. And so far, it worked pretty well. Oh, something's going on upstairs. We see the cap from the side of Gundam Unicorn.
There was no knocks, there was no kills quite yet, and now the fight is going in the favor of Team BOZOS, but this entire time, though, the point is ticking in favor of Gundam Unicorn. So Unicorn doing a great job of getting that back cap, or at least getting onto points, and they will be able to secure 14% before the point swaps on over, and this one is going underground now. 27-28, they will be able to secure 32 for themselves on the BOZOS side for that B swap.
I think we've actually seen only A and C so far within the previous round and a half. So I'm really interested as to how they're going to approach B. You mentioned there's the ability to drop down, but it looks like they're just actually going directly forward with a really strong push. You can see this level of coordination. They are getting a lot of knocks. We're seeing at least Ender's going down. We're seeing James going down. Oh man, this is just looking super dominant. The punch is just coming up. Probably not going to even need to use it. There's going to have to be a regroup. I'm surprised that Ashmar committed.
Oh, the trades are there, though. Focus and Profi has fallen, and the point is just about to unlock as Subject finds one more onto Duke. But Sazabi versus Pale Rider, it's not much of a matchup there, especially when the Sazabi is in your face. That is going to be BOZOS taking the first team fight win here on point B, but it is getting challenged now. Ashmar is ready with the punch if he needs to delay this one for Team BOZOS, but James has fallen. They have the mobile suit advantage in this fight.
Yeah, you can hear them. They are just going to be regrouping for sure. It seems like BOZOS have picked up the, I guess, the positioning in B. There's still 30 seconds left. This is a really tough choice to make. You know, I mean, obviously you want to fight for these final 20 seconds. You get one more kind of free push here, but you don't want to also like lose this and let the other team push in fully. And we're going to see the exit from above, going to get a bunch of damage undoubtedly. And yeah, there we go. We're going to see the Gundam going down. We're going to see the Exia going down. We're going to see the Sazabi going down. And exactly what I said is going to happen. Look at this. The site is going to change, and we are going to see plenty of time, I would say, for the repositioning from BOZOS.
Oh, they might get the stagger onto Ashmar as well, but the Dom is there to show up with that armor gun to keep him topped off at the very least. But the high ground early positioning is going to be held now by Team BOZOS, ready to send this around number 3 if they could just finish things off here on point A. 69% nice to the 21, but all the ultimates are being expelled there. The punch being a little bit early. I don't know if it actually caught anyone, but you can see now the Hades in the face of the funnels, in the face of the Sazabi. He somehow stays alive for now, takes out the Exia as well. Tism, one of our candidates for MVP, might not have done enough here, unfortunately, but here comes Gundam Unicorn to try and clean things up.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how well Gundam Unicorn held that together, considering how many G maneuvers were popped all in a row. Of course, they weren't able to fully make that push, but they were able to at least delay the cap for a little bit. They are going to have one more push in them before, you know, the guaranteed loss right there. So I wonder if they held on to any G maneuvers. Maybe they saw so many popped at once, they're like, let's just wait. But okay, the Trans Am coming out, of course, from the Duke, and that's going to be 2 suits down, I think, at least from it. This is going to be so hard for Gundam Unicorn to fight back.
Yeah, they also have that Screaming Nimbus being used now for Team BOZOS. 99%. They just need to clean up the point, and this is their win. This is going to send it to round number 3, and it's just the Ashmar left here trying his best to delay in overtime. There's plenty of presence here as the Sazabi gets in with that axe jump. And they do deal with that shield. He's sent down underneath by that dash, and now they're chasing after the Dom. That's going to be BOZOS taking round number 2 and sending us now to round point.
Yeah, great adaptation. I mean, so much of what Gundam Unicorn was doing to make that first round successful was the way that they were pushing back onto the high ground from the other side, and the coordination with it is incredible. But of course, you know, you're fighting a real team of human beings, so it's not just like you choose one strategy and it's going to work forever. BOZOS, of course, very top level competition. They're like, okay, we need to adapt to that one particular strategy, and then it didn't work for the rest of the you know, that second round. So now we're gonna have to see the readaptation once again coming out from Gundam Unicorn, but it's going to be tough if their strategy to reapproach those high grounds isn't working. There's not an easy way, right? It's not like there's one way that you should be going or one way that you should be playing the team fight. They just got to make it work.
Yeah, Duke has been masterful in the way that he actually approached that second round. Again, not trying to go for that flank, just finding an off angle where he wasn't actually spotted. I think so much focus was being put onto that high ground that he was able to just go in from the left-hand side. We saw him come in actually off of point A and then jump right on up. This time around, we're going to be starting off on C. So nothing, none of our rounds starting off on point B. It's all going to be on the outside here. And now it's going to come down to, once again, can they spot out Duke? Can they deal with this Exia that has been a consistent threat against them?
Oh, again, a great incendiary grenade. But we're going to actually see the enemy Ashmar really high above. And oh my gosh, so many people falling at the start.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-for-2 exchange. Gundam has gone down, but the Ashmar dogfight midair, that's going to go the way of Gundam Unicorn. And now they have presence on the point. 7 more seconds, though, for it to unlock. And now they have lost out on that high ground because they dropped down a little bit early for it.
Yeah, that's a really tough decision to make, and it does look like they might end up losing that point, even though they did have the numbers advantage at the start. Yeah, keeping that Dom on the high ground, that's the position that we saw Casino in the last match of yesterday when Powerpuff Girls was playing. It is such a dominant position. You can shoot through that door, chunk so many people, support the rest of your team with the armor gun, and that Dom is just staying up there.
Yeah, and so it's BOZOS getting positioning on that point, and now they are taking up 21%. Duke trying to get on in, and they are getting tagged up on that exit here on from the B side. He's just looking for that flank, but you can see that adjustment being made. Keep tabs on Duke. Keep tabs on that Exia. Momentary lapse on the defense. They actually give up the point for free, but it's for that fight. Focus and Profi are down, and now they're cleaning up the rest of Gundam Unicorn here, pushing back, and they instantly take it back.
Yeah, that is the second time that has happened. Yeah, it looks like pretty much all of them are going to fall down here. The Hades just becoming available, which is going to be great for fighting for A. A lot of them going through mid, actually. They'll probably cycle around, try to get that high ground again, especially on this Pale Rider. That seems like that'd be a great choice. No, actually, going to hold back behind the Sazabi. The Sazabi acting as a little bit of cover, I believe, in the low ground. We've seen them hold that position, at least to be the one who captures a decent amount, but wow, this is aggressive.
They are pushing all the way up to spawn, essentially, here. They only lose out on their Dom throughout all of this. It's basically a 6-for-1 exchange. But yeah, it looked like they were taxing the Sazabi, right? They didn't have the heals there. There's nothing along the way. So he was down to about 300 HP. They had to get him over to that minis, which is why they took that underground path to get over there instead of, you know, leaving him vulnerable. They still have that high ground now, and it's going to be BOZOS once again. Cap the point first, and from the side, Duke gets that stun, knocks down the Exia, wins out on the duel. Now 1v1. He does end up getting stunned by, it looked like maybe the Hyper Hammer, and the Trans Am is going to get popped for this fight. This time around, they will contest onto the point. They will not allow Gundam Unicorn to get free progress on that meter.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, we have just seen Duke running rampant again, confirming the 12th kill on the kill streak. You know, we saw the very, very first thing in this game be that Duke pushed forward, was caught out, and actually died, like pretty much I think the first kill of the game. But we are just not seeing that at all again. It seems like Duke, oh my gosh, that's actually a ton of people pushing over that mid-range.
Oh, they end up picking one, though. That's going to be Dai going down, and I don't believe he's in an area for them to get rezzed, but with this regroup coming out from Gundam Unicorn, that's going to buy some time for the other side to actually get up as a full. Now, we have 5G maneuvers available here. The point is about to unlock. They're charging forward. Here's the dive out with the Screaming Nimbus, but they don't really have anyone to isolate. The damage really quite isn't there for the follow-up. Enders ends up going down. It was a full 6-man focus onto that Screaming Nimbus, and you have to imagine there's so much shield onto that all 6 members were eventually able to take him out. That's incredible. The trades just going back and forth, but it's the high ground that they were fighting for. They do have that for now, but we'll see if they can trade back here as the kills are just going in the favor of BOZOS.
Yeah, I mean, they fought for the high ground, but then not that many people stayed on the high ground. A lot of people were pushing through very aggressively to try to follow up through the low ground. But wow, you know, talk about aggressive holds. Again, we're seeing Focus have to go all the way back to heal in base, or actually not just to heal, just take cover. The Sazabi just standing right next to their spawn, and just one hit on the punch. That's not the best feeling in the world, especially on this map. I don't know if that's going to be enough. They needed to do it ASAP, though. There's not much time. 99% on the board for BOZOS.
Yeah, round number 1 just looked like it was a warm-up for BOZOS. Once we got to round 2, it was just absolute domination. BOZOS will take our first map here in the grand finals, and now it basically becomes a best of 3 for BOZOS.
Yeah, that was, I mean, what a turnaround. What an adaptation, right? You can be a great team. That's something actually just in tournaments in general, right? You can be great as a player or as a team, and you can have great strategies and great personal skill. But if there's a strategy that you're not used to dealing with and it's working against you, the most important thing is adaptation. And you're going to have to adapt multiple times over a set. And clearly the adaptation was there to, play a little bit safer for Duke. And of course, I think maybe not even dying a single time in maybe that last round, and then the adaptation to stop the other team, to stop Team Gundam Unicorn from jumping over mid and just catching people from behind every single time, and just the angles that they were playing, the ways that they were approaching things was all completely changed between round 1 and round 2, which is not only of course a great feat of adaptation, but it's a great feat of saying like, yo, we just got almost perfected, in a round, the first round of a set. A lot of people would, or a lot of teams would maybe get a little bit tilted. There might be a little bit of argument between the team, but clearly BOZOS is just like, okay, whatever, it happened. Let's just move on to the next round. Let's figure out how to fix it. They did, and boom, they're ahead.
Mental reset was there, and now they just bring it within reach of two. Two maps is all they need, and the next two maps are going to be Quarry and Harbor. Quarry, we got to see, I believe, Gundam Unicorn on it before. They had a great defense. We'll see, though, if it can actually be stalwart against the amazing offense that has been Team BOZOS. I mean, it's hard to pick which team member is doing like the most on that squad, because it feels like everyone is contributing extremely well on the BOZOS side.
Yeah. Like, they're definitely the playmakers, right? A lot of their strategies so far have been, you throw Duke behind them, and then you have Tism like stand in front, and then you kind of sandwich them and make them decide which way they want to go. But just because somebody's out in the front of the action doesn't necessarily mean that they're like putting in, the most as far as the value of the team, because every single person, there's obviously not a weak link on that team. They're all within that like very same level. And we've seen so many really important like shields too, from like the Dom. We've seen so many, just everything in that team extremely solid. So I really don't know like where I would even approach them. Like if I could like create a team in my head and a way to of good players and a way to beat them, they just seem so solid all around, and it's just an unbreakable armor.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried here because we got to see some great defense coming out from BOZOS. I think they got a first actually waypoint hold on the first half last time we actually got to see them on Quarry, when the few teams actually be able to do so without actually giving up the waypoint once, I believe, on their defense. They do it in a way where they just completely give up that high ground. They don't fight for it whatsoever. They allow the teams to take it, and they spam it out with their Pale Rider and with their Dom. We'll see if that's something that they're able to do on this side. It looks like it is going to be Gundam Unicorn actually starting off. No, BOZOS will be starting on the defense, so we will be treated to their defensive hold first.
Yeah, we've seen both of these teams on this map one time apiece, but it was very, very different in the ways that they played it out, right? So we definitely know that both teams can defend and attack. I think both of them actually won on this map so far in their singular times. So we know that they can play the map, but the question is how. And again, this is a weird map in the fact that Point A is kind of unique in its way. I almost like to think of Point A as like a paintball field, like it's so much like weird, so many weird random like walls and like placed cover, and you have to like zip through everything. It's very, very strange. I feel like there's almost no other place like it in the entirety of Gundam Evo. But once you get to B, then it's like a totally different game. It's almost like a map like closer to like Ministry of Defense in its own weird way. So you have to have multiple different strategies. Not only just that too, the A and B at the first point are both very different, and you have to approach them from different ways. The waypoint's different. The second point's different. It takes a lot of good strategy, and not just one good strategy to win in this map.
And when we do, or if we do get to the second half of this map, when we go over towards that AB that's basically right on top of each other, the Ashmar player is going to be extremely crucial. Like you said, the waypoints are completely different, but Ashmar is able to access that second half waypoint extremely well. So if a team fight win happens for the defense, he can easily shut down that waypoint and waste a lot of the time for the offense. So we're going to be keeping an eye on players like Force to see how they end up maneuvering that one. It is, though, BOZOS starting on the defense, and it feels like with BOZOS picking defense first, they want to get that shutdown on the first half.
Yeah, which we've seen them do before. One big thing actually to exactly what you were talking about, how the aerial mobility can be really important on retaking the waypoints, and also just on getting around in like kind of that first area. Of course, we know that there's not really usually a Mephis on the side of Gundam Unicorn, so they aren't going to have that level of the double flyer comp, which we've seen. I'd say most of the teams going with kind of the double flyer comp, just because the teams are pretty good, unless they're choosing the Unicorn instead for like group battles. Which you know what? I just remembered. We did see the Unicorn coming out of BOZOS for that first point. It was the very first game of the entire tournament. We saw the Unicorn because they literally just deathball behind that box on the left side. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, they're able to rely upon the AoE armor essentially, and then if things go really south, they have that small health pack to really play upon. If they have the Pale Rider playing on that right-hand side of the waypoint, there's that mega health pack, I believe, right behind in the corner for that kind of firing squad on the right-hand side to be able to play off of as well, along with the healing pad that he's able to pop down as well. So, I mean, BOZOS, I feel like a lot of our teams have basically figured that out. That's kind of like the standard hold now. Pale Rider on the right side, Unicorn and your Dom on the left, really controlling that high ground push from the right. So it's been great to see the kind of evolution when it comes to how the meta has evolved here on Quarry.
Yeah, even not even just like the meta evolving over time, but like the meta evolving throughout this tournament. I feel like we've seen a lot of, especially the maps that we've seen a lot. Like we've seen a decent amount of Quarry, a lot on Flak for it. We're starting to see people really like lock down their strategies and like look at what other people are doing and being like, okay, hold on, maybe we just do that. Like let's hold a little bit less forward here. Let's hold a little bit, on this platform here. And you really love to see it. One thing that's actually a little bit unique that I remember Team Gundam Unicorn doing on this map is once we saw the switch to the Marsai from Inarizaki against them earlier today, they started holding a little bit more back. They were holding into the like buildings on defense instead of a little bit more forward on the waypoint, and that might have been to just avoid the hooks because they did change it once they kind of noticed that. But also it can be a pretty tough spot to shoot into if you don't know which direction they're going to be shooting you from, or if it's both sides. So we might see them kind of go to that. It also plays pretty well off of like the further range of having the RX-78 on their team. But I mean, I don't know. These teams are both so good at offense and defense. And honestly, we could be talking about defense all day. With these teams, either one could just like make one fast push, just wipe them, and then boom, we're at the point. And we could have talked for longer than it takes them to actually get through it.
Yeah, we do see that quite often. I mean, especially when it comes down to matchmaking, I feel like, it's either a full hold or you just stomp through the rest of the map. There's like almost no in between when it comes to Quarry in that regard. We are just waiting now. We do have all of our players in the lobby just ready for the go-ahead to get into match number 2. Right now, it is BOZOS with the 1-0 lead here in this best of 5. And I hear the pilots getting activated now, the units firing up, and it will be Gundam Unicorns starting off on the offense.
Yeah, and side note, as we start the second game, how cool is it that turn A breaks out of the rock? I think that's so sick. It's such a nice little touch that they add. I love all the little things that they add in this game. But here we go. We do get to see the team comp on defense, and we are going to see that Unicorn picked again, just like we saw in like I said, the very first game of the entire tournament, which really does go to show just how committed they are to this kind of. It's weird to call it a defense death ball, but it really is a defense death ball. Look at this. Look at this. The whole group. They're all together. It's all the boys.
Yeah, they're wishing that they had the jump pad there to get up on top of that boss. No, but it does seem like they will try and hold on that left-hand side, 4-man death ball, possibly have the pale right on the right. But for the attack for Gundam Unicorn, they're not changing anything up in terms of their composition. They've got, of course, that RX-78 once again. So he's going to be crucial to try and take out that Sazabi on the other side, and knowing exactly where he's holding, I mean, you have to expect probably there on the right. So if you could just spam that angle with a hyper hammer, but here is that first push onto that high ground, which again, they leave available for them.
Ooh, and hitting pretty much all of them with the incendiary grenade. That is going to be huge. Of course, that's one of the best tools at dealing with a death ball. It's just going to do so much damage and build so much of your G maneuver, which is, of course, is going to be a great answer within its own. And look at this. Already this hold is not working quite as well as we've seen before. They're going to get at least one pick. We're going 1 for 1. Oh, they're getting 2 picks, 3 picks, 4 picks. It looks like immediately they are going to be taking this waypoint.
Yeah, that's the waypoint. You can see instantly pushing forward now for that Mega Charge plant possibly on to B. As I don't know exactly what they did to break it open, but they did. And now they're going to be able to benefit from that. The waypoint is going to be active. And this is one of those difficult parts on the first half to try and go back and pull them away. It's going to come down to your Exia to maybe try and get the flank, get that first before the Mega Charge goes down. But the Mega Charge hasn't even gone down at this point for the offense here. As the pick comes out from the defense. It's going to be James going down on that Exia now. The Pale Rider in the back line, finding one at the very least for the trade.
Yeah, it looked like the offense was really committed to pushing, but then they decided, oh, no, let's back up. Let's regroup first. We see some people are coming back up, but here we go. They are trapped in this hallway. This can be such a deadly place to fight, but it looks like the Pale Rider is going to go down. Tism not being up is going to be huge here, and now he needs to get back into position. It's very hard for the defenders to get into a good position to defend B, because you can shoot through that floor, but only from the side of the attackers, essentially. So you have to get all the way over there, and this is a great plant. B can be very hard to fight through, especially with an Ashmore punch potentially up soon.
Yeah, that was great because that patience, not planning first, allows them to get one more team fight win. That's a lot more G maneuver being built up here for that hold, and so that makes the retake that much more difficult for the defense as things are not going their way whatsoever. 26 seconds now remaining on that Mega Charge disposal time, and they are not going to have that window to do it. Gundam Unicorn A nice coordinated push there. The res does come down onto Tism, but I don't think he's going to be able to find an opening here. As again, that AoE control coming out from Force on the other side is so good. Excuse me, focus from the other side. They're going to charge forward now. No heals there for Tism as he will fall, losing out on that battle up against the Dom, and it's all Gundam Unicorn.
Yeah, no chance of defending. We have seen every single team try and plant on B primarily, and for very good reason. Once you can get that in there, it is very difficult. You gotta clear out both floors before you're safe to disarm. So that was a really quick push. I mean, a great take on the the initial waypoint, a great take on the first point without ever getting disarmed, and Gundam Unicorn is looking amazing on Quarry.
Oh boy, and they have 5.5 minutes now to work on this. They've already got the initial pick as well. You imagine probably the Exia going for that waypoint now. Duke trying to find a stun, but will not be able to connect. Has to back away, drop down to no HP as he gets finished off, and it's going to be point B once again. We do have the Pale Rider up top, though, actually denying that plant. And he does have that Hades available to EMP to slow things down. Again, it's all about delaying here. They lose out on the Sazabi, the nade there, along with the follow-up. He just needs one more shot. He does connect, but the Sazabi is there to follow up. They'll get the rest to get their Pale Rider back up.
That was like the hardest single shot to hit in the entire game. I know that exact feeling, trust me. But wow, that was such a brawl. We actually had both teams almost entirely going down. It was down to like 2v2 in the end of that fight. But they were just brawling in every single area. These are not concise, grouped up team fights. This is just little hits here and there, little brawls. But yeah, you got to be sure that you are covering B. It has been B here almost every single time so far that we've been on Quarry.
And now Exia is so low, the health pack not coming up. The Sazabi might fall down, but the Mega Charge still hasn't gone down. The HP bar is extremely low from either side, and it looks like the defense will hold for now. The Mega Charge has gone down on a B. The Screaming Nimbus is available for the defense, along with the Hades still being held now. But he does have to back away, unfortunately, drop down low and has to take the time to heal up. Die goes down. That's going to be the Ashmar picking it up. Focus has been doing an amazing job so far, and the funnels are just keeping them zoned away. The Hades will get popped, though, by Prism. He does spot out one, gets the knock. He needs a little bit more, though. 30 seconds remaining now on this defusal time, as they still need to make their way onto B. There it is. Finds another knock there, but Duke ends up going down, and now Tism brought down to 40 HP once more, denies the res, but he still needs to get the defuse. The axe comes in to finish him off.
Yeah, not quite enough mileage. Tried his best, but there was an attempt there to disarm. It wasn't enough. Gets taken down, and now this team on defense is so staggered. It's going to be really difficult to find this moment. And look at this, another person down on the bomb. 3 people up, 3 people just standing there trying to body block the diffuser, and it's not going to work. And that is going to be 0 defuses, a clean push from Gundam Unicorn.
Wow, what a shift in momentum. What we had after Mountain R&D, it's now Gundam Unicorn with a very strong offense there. Really making the defense of BOZOS on that first waypoint look like nothing. And typically we've seen so many teams kind of struggling there, but there was no almost resistance coming out from the other side. Gundam Unicorn really ran over that offense, and they have 3 minutes and 26 remaining on their secondary attack.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't get that much better than that on this map. This map is a really long run. They took a little bit of time to plant both on the first site and the second site, but once they planted, it was just 100% going all the way through. That was just so incredibly played. I think it's actually going to be really hard for BOZOS to match up to this. And now I'm really curious, though, how is Gundam Unicorn going to play defense here? Because BOZOS, of course, playing that big death ball behind the box, they got wiped really quickly. And it might have just been the way that the team fight was engaged or something, but I don't think we're going to see quite as many people maybe sitting behind this box. Like I said, they were pretty good at defending from indoors, which is a really interesting choice, but we will see.
Yeah, I believe that, on the side of Unicorns, they do play a bit more spread out. They're not as death poly. They should have their Pale Rider on the right-hand side, so not a full 6-man stack on top of that Unicorn. We'll see, though. It has been coming down to a lot of these Ashmar players with their nades. How much value can they get off? Can they get that opening with that free napalm, that AoE damage? The Gundam Unicorn is still being picked up by BOZOS for this push, though. We'll see. They're going to go straight up the gut and a cheeky hyper hammer along with that molly to get some damage off. You get the scouting out from that Sazabi as well. Now it's going to be the high ground push. Neither side really contesting this one, and it's going to be the Pale Rider contesting it for Team BOZOS.
Yeah, again, they're a lot more split up. You can see here on defense for the side of Gundam Unicorn. Okay, now they're starting to group back up. Yeah, as soon as they see the push, they're retreating back inside. It looks like the Exia is going to be pulled down immediately. It is so hard to push forward when there are people shooting you from both doors.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it seems like, you know, bending but not breaking is the name of the game here on the defense, as Spoo is still alive, is not going to be able to get the res, actually gets away and dashes away from his Ashmar there, will end up getting cleaned up himself, and that's going to be the first offensive hold coming out from Gundam Unicorn. And so it's looking like the opportunity to try and beat the time of Gundam Unicorn is already getting away from them. BOZOS, though, have been able to force them back at the very least, and that's going to be the waypoint possibly getting picked up by them.
Yeah, look at this. 4 people defending from the B side hallway. Interesting. Did they just give up the waypoint? That was a very... It seemed like most of them were up and potentially kind of in position. I'm surprised that they just backed up from that, decided not to fight it. But they do, of course, you know, there's only about 3 minutes, 45 seconds left. Oh. And wow, there's a big push on A here.
What happened to Sazabi? His HP bar just completely melted. Remember, he has like 2,800 HP with this shield and his original HP bar. He didn't even get fully healed up. He goes for that charge in, but they find the knock onto James. It's still the trade's going in the favor of the opposite side. The defense is holding for now, as Exia Duke does find one in the back line. James gets brought back up, but he's re-knocked throughout all of this. Tism has not been res though, and so that's going to be the stop for the push as Dai goes down, and now BOZOS have to reset for this push, along with the defense for Gundam Unicorn. You can see the split coming out. You can see, you were talking about it, how it becomes such a different dynamic when you have to defend these 2 points that are so far away from each other.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they were so quickly able to get over to A once they saw that the full push was on A. And I'm also surprised that we saw the full push being on A. We've only seen A attempted a few times, and not a single time has it worked. It's been B every single time, but already, I mean, this is just such a delay. They are far apart from each other, but it's also quite a long run for offense. So every single time that you get wiped, you're losing, I mean, at least a minute here. Oh, trying to melt that Exia. Great tracking, but the Exia just zips away.
Yeah, BOZOS finding the first knock there. Duke has gone down as well. Gundam Ultimate does go down for the defense here, trying to delay that, but the Mega Charge has been planted on A. It was all a distraction, but does it matter if your entire team gets wiped on a B, and that allows Gundam Unicorn to come in for the free defuse?
Yeah, before anybody can even get there. Even Exia, honestly, from this range, it can be very good at defending A. So if this Exia had gone back in, it could have really actually stop that, because you have to deal with it with 0 drop off on the daggers. You're sitting target disarming on A. You have to get all the way back to the other side of this hallway. And look at this, we're seeing a little bit of a sneaky strategy here. We might see another attempt to push B and then sneak the plant on A. It worked before to at least get the plant down. It wasn't successful, but Sazabi's just sitting there.
Oh, that is not the challenge you want, Sazabi. Why are you there? He does have that mini health pack to actually get himself topped off. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. Spoo has gone down, but that's the heals. That's the Dom down as well. Both supports are gone. There might not be an opening here. They do have one backed up into a corner, but no, he's not able to finish him off. 1 HP. Now he gets chased down by the enemy. Exia and Duke will fall. He has not been able to find an opening on this offense whatsoever. Now, time is running out for BOZOS. They still need the first half of this map. There's only a minute and 15 seconds remaining.
I cannot believe how dominant Gundam Unicorn is looking on this map. This is so surprising to me. They're playing it so well. We see that a lot of them have pushed back onto A. You can already hear the comms. It's just, again, it's so calm. I love their comms, but we just have to see if it's going to be, again, a really full commit to A. We see that they're going to kind of sit in the middle and say, okay, let's make sure that nobody, you know, sneaks around behind, plants on B, because that can be so hard to defend from, but it does look like a pretty heavy commitment here on A.
Oh, the Trans Am gets shut down on the Gundam Unicorn side. The only trade is for that Unicorn. Spoo falling. As that point, a plant is committed to, and they will get it down. The Mega Charge is down, and now it looks like they have found the answer. Going for that point, a push. A lot of the G maneuvers expelled from the defense. This might actually be the opening now for the second half of the map.
Yeah, this can be so difficult to defend against. Like I said, there's just this wide open space that you are just totally vulnerable to, but the Sazabi pushing up on the Pale Rider, that's a great suit-to-suit counter. Of course, Pale Rider doesn't have any great answers for dealing with that shield without just dying to the shotgun immediately. This bomb is progressing so far. There's really only like one more push here, but if this push works, this will be a very clear win from defense.
Enders ends up winning out that duel up against Tism now, and they're going for that defuse. It looks like Gundam Unicorn are actually able to come back, get the Mega Charge diffuse on point A, and shut down BOZOS here on Quarry, tying things up 1-1.
Wow, that was again so dominant. From literally an almost flawless push to a flawless defense. That was just absolutely incredible, and it shows that again, Gundam Unicorn, despite the fact that they did, the comeback happened in the very first game of the set, they're not going to be out of it at all. They're not tilted. They're even stronger than they were, and that means that's actually the first game loss that BOZOS have had in this entire tournament. It might have even been within this tournament and the EGL tournament. Might have been their first game loss, and it was dominant. It was as one-sided as you can get. So that is great to see, because I want to see a really close finals. And you know what that means? We're going to see Ministry of Defense at least once in this tournament. Even if it's a 3-1 now, we guarantee Ministry of Defense. We guarantee that every map in the map pool has been played.
Now we get to see, I mean, we saw there why Gundam Unicorns decided for their first map pick of this series. They wanted to go to Quarry. They showed off an amazing defense, an amazing offense, but it's going to be Harbor now. Not a destruction map, but very similar in the way it plays out. We will hopefully be seeing the snipers, and I believe it was also here on Harbor where we're seeing a lot more of the turn A Gundam play coming out.
Yeah, we saw some really strong turn A. I think actually Casino from Powerpuff was switching over to the turn A. Of course, another really great sniper-ish option, and then the ult being, or the G maneuver being, one of the best options that you can possibly have to clear out the choke point on B, to clear out a lot of the hold that people like to have on even A point. So it's just a really strong suit. There's a lot of really close choke points as well, where a lot of melees will do a lot of work. We tend to see a lot of Zakutu melee there, and you can just yeet them. Also, if you can yeet somebody into the ocean, it's the best feeling of all time. Or the hole in the middle. That's like 1,000 points.
There are a lot of yeet options. We've got the Streaming Nimbus that'll come out, the Ashmar Punch, along with the Exia knockback. And if we see that Gundam Unicorn pick still being picked up by BOZOS, that is another option. So a lot of environmental deaths we do see happen all the time. I mean, it's not going to be as much as like your first time on Harbor, where you don't realize like half the map you can fall off of. Yeah. I remember the first time I played on Harbor, like we were on defense first, and so on our first run back to try and get our defensive setup, half our team just fell into the ocean. Like it was just that was my first experience of Harbor.
Well, that's a pretty classic solo queue experience, regardless on Harbor. I can't tell you how many times I've seen teammates just like, we're just fighting, we're defending on B, and then all of a sudden they just like dash into the hole in the middle, or they dash into like one of the corners that you can fall into around that like pillar in the middle right before the choke point, and you just see your teammates just go down and you're like, oh no, that's really unfortunate. Goodbye, my friend. But definitely not going to happen here with these really strong teams. And the match that we saw here on Harbor yesterday, it was a very good match. It was actually really close, and we saw one of my favorite plays of this entire tournament, maybe my favorite play of and I think 3 or 4 people on the team, I think it might have just been 3, jumping over the wall at the very last moment to make the final push using the GM sniper jump pad, and then splitting the enemy team, kind of like pincering them in between the choke point angle and the back angle. It was so sick.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, the margin of error for that play was extremely tight. If you missed up your boosters just even a little bit, or if you didn't get the initial kill, you weren't getting onto the point in time. So they had to be immaculate in that push. It was a fantastic moment. We're just waiting on map number 3 right now. And like we said, it will be on Harbor City. This is going to be fun. Hopefully we do get to see the sniper battles. We do see how different it plays at higher levels. Right, when you're playing this one in matchmaking, everyone's just holding that initial corner, right? The defense is right there, right up on that corner. But right now in higher level play, you're playing a little bit further back. You play inside the city line. You're playing inside of the buildings. You're playing for the extra cover there. Yeah. It's great to see the teams kind of adjusting for that regard. But at this moment, it does seem like we're gonna actually. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to figure out, are we taking a break or not?
I think we're gonna take the break after this map, just because we want to make sure that the players get their their time to use the restroom and recharge. But hopefully we get to see Harbor pretty soon. Like you were saying, everybody's holding back, and I think that's a little of a PSA to anybody here who is grinding through the ranked ladder currently. Whether you're, I mean, I've seen it all the way from basically iron, bronze to all the way up through platinum. I still see people in platinum that hold way too far forward. Please look at these matches and see how reserved the first defensive holds are from all these teams. Please don't hold at the door. I know you want to be Barbados and get a one shot as they run out of their base, but you're going to die. You're not going to get back in time, and then we're going to have to 65 them. Please stop doing that. Just go back, play safe.
Sorry, right now I'm still trying to figure out if we're going to break it or not. It doesn't seem like it. While we are on this, while we're waiting for the next map, make sure that, of course, you visit our page on Match Arena. You can still contribute to the prize pool. All you really have to do, you don't have to contribute your own money. You can have other people contribute money by competing quests on the Match Arena page, and it's simple as following accounts on Twitter or subscribing on YouTube or visiting a page. It's that simple, and every little bit counts. We're over $500 for the overall prize pool that will be split up amongst our top teams. So we are getting into map 3. It'll be just another moment. We do have all of our players up as well. So it'll be just a moment here, and I believe, let me double check. It is going to be Gundam Unicorn is actually starting on the defense first for Harbor City.
All right, yeah, like you were mentioning, we did see the snipers. I thought we were going to see a lot more Gem Sniper throughout the entirety of the tournament in general. It is, of course, a strong suit. It's just not fitting into maybe the current meta that we're seeing with just these particular sets of suits that we're seeing. But we did see finally switches from both teams to Gem Sniper on this level. So I do expect that there's a good chance we're going to see it again. We might not. There again, it's not the easiest suit to use. You have to, have experience with it. I'm sure a lot of these people that are really good at, just clicking heads, basically, like, for example, I would love to see a Tism sniper. That would be an amazing show. But any, the Pale Rider players, we've seen the Pale Riders players switch to Gem Sniper a lot. Sometimes we tend to see people like, I mean, hey, if you've got an RX-78 player, then that's pretty similar-ish, right? Long-range rifle shots that you got to land just from a lot further on. But if you don't know how to play the suit very effectively, of course, it can get overrun, especially with this meta of so many strong Exias that can just kind of jump you in the back line if they can get through. If you miss a few shots, then you're just completely a waste. So I would understand, too, if the teams decided not to go for it. A lot of them do have some pretty good long-range options as well. But if they do go for it, I'm excited to see which players will be switching off of their usual roles.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, we did see that, right? In our only map on Harbor City, Powerpuff Girls versus Inarizaki, it was the Dom player for Powerpuff Girls that ended up swapping on over for that turn a Gundam. And so some rule swaps there. But overall, I think, yeah, if you're the Pale, you're probably going to want to be playing on that Gem Sniper as well. But here we go, heading into our third map of our grand finals. We do have a Pale and the Sniper actually coming in for the offense. And again, because of the run back distance, you can just kind of start off on the Sniper. You don't have to commit to it all the way around. So we'll see if this is something that they actually want to full commit to.
Yeah, and it's going to be Die on the Sniper. That is normally their Dom player, so they're not going to have that extra armor for pushing up. But there are a lot of wide open spaces in this first point, so also I could see Dom having a little bit of a tough time actually hitting people. And we're going to see, of course, the Gem Sniper on the other side as well. And I did not actually get a chance to see who it was going to be. That's going to be Baranox. So yeah, the Gundam. That made a lot of sense, right? The single shots. I said it was a possibility. I'd love to see it. Let's see if they can land it.
All right, that's just early scouting coming out from our Sazabi players here. You can see this is the defensive hold we're talking about, not holding the immediate corner. Oh, the axe comes in. Ashmore goes down first. Focus goes down, but the trade for the tank. I don't know if it's going to be enough for them as Tism will fall. And what a hold from Gundam Unicorn.
Yeah, wow. That was looking like they were crumbling, and then suddenly just 3 people in a row all got down, and you can actually hear that. Oh, look here. There's one of the big advantages of playing Ashamar on this map. Even on defense, your run back is infinitely faster than it would have been otherwise. But yeah, that was a great hold. That was a little bit scary, but they did manage to come back from it. And look at this. By the time this next push is happening, Ashamar is already back.
And so the reset comes out. BOZOS, they have been slowed down. We'll see if Gundam Unicorn can hold him once again on that first point. Here comes the snipe on in. The Method tries to get something with his right click, but instead he will fall. Baronox, though, on the sniper battle, actually loses out to Duke, but the fallback. This is such a great bend coming out. They just retreat away from the threat, but Die ends up getting the res onto their Method. Spoo finds a knock onto Profi, and now the defense is crumbling.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to get a lot of picks. So this is going to be a weird little skirmish here. It's going to be like 1 versus 3, 2 versus 3 here, but, you know, not even going to take the attempt. Doesn't want to get staggered, and that's something that we've seen a lot, actually, in Harbor City. As soon as you start to potentially lose A, these teams will back all the way up and start holding this choke point, because if you fight for A, you get wiped. Your run back to this choke point is longer than theirs, so they can actually just push through and immediately force their way onto point B. So I like the fact that everybody's just backing up. They're playing safe. They're saying, okay, let's take advantage of what is potentially the strongest position on this map.
Sniper's gone now. We've got the Gundam back in play for the defense on Gundam Unicorn. So now point B with 6 minutes remaining to try and make this push. Nice little Molotov, get some extra damage. He is close to that punch. Playing off this choke, that Ashamar punch is extremely brutal. But we also have the Screaming Nimbus coming in. Now, because of the late swap off for the offense, they're not going to have that Screaming Nimbus for some time.
Yeah, it's true, and I mean the swaps that we see from the snipers, like it makes a big difference too. Like over top. Especially if it's like a Pale Rider, if it's a Dom, if it's the oh, okay, hold on a minute. That's actually a lot of people coming over the top. That was actually called out that there was going to be a huge push over the top, and it was correct. That is going to be a punch that could catch a lot of people all in a row since they're also grouped up. But there's going to be so many picks on the side of BOZOS. This is going to be very tough to deal with.
Ashamar, the only one up now. He does have that mini health pack on the high ground to play with, but you got a few units now starting to get onto the point. One on the flank, that's going to be Profi on that tank, but he should get finished off. The Ashamar punch catches a few, but the Trans Am is there for Duke for that cleanup, and I believe this is the full 6-man up. Screaming Nimbus coming out from the defensive side. They don't get much there. Never mind, Enders ends up picking up 2, and that Screaming Nimbus becomes the difference maker so far. 3 ticks have been picked up by the offense. Die has gone down, but it looks like Tism might just be enough on the point with his Ashamar. And Gundam Unicorn, their first defense looked great, but then BOZOS, once they caught their footing, ran over them.
Yeah. I mean, they were holding, and then even at the B choke, they were just, they were waiting. They were doing quite well, and then we heard Focus call it out. We heard him call it out on comms. They're probably going to do a huge jump over the wall. They're probably going to do a huge push high, I think is what he said. And it's exactly what happened. And despite that, it's not easy to deal with, right? It's not easy to deal with suddenly so many people coming over into one spot, and they just weren't able to deal with it. Despite they landed the incendiary grenade, then that was pretty much it. There was not as much AoE damage as they needed to deal with that situation. They weren't back enough that they could actually kind of use that secondary spot as a choke point, and they just weren't able to pull it off. So, I mean, really great attack here from BOZOS. Now, we'll see if there can be a repeat. Again, this is a very weird, strange, polarizing map. We can see people win really fast on offense here, or we can see them just never take anything. It all really depends on like how good the picks are and how they can take advantage of it with their mobility, because it's such a weird, long map.
Yeah, BOZOS are going to go for that pale gym sniper setup on the defense here, so they will be lacking a little bit in the armor situation, a little bit in the heals. They do have that Method though to really play off of. There are a lot of health packs in this cityscape to really kind of supplement that at the very least, but you're still kind of playing against a mega health pack on the other side when you are playing defensively back there in the cityscape. For the offense, though, for Gundam Unicorn, they are also opening up with the Pale Rider and that Gem Sniper. We'll see if they can find the initial frag.
Yeah, the sniper seemed like it was working out pretty well until that one really big push that it wasn't like a dominant push even on the other side. So we'll see how it works on offense. Of course, just getting the picks on offense is a lot more important than getting the picks on defense. And clearly, playing RX-78, they can aim single shots.
Oh. So they actually give up that same position that Gundam Unicorn were playing on their defense. They're going to play further back, basically on points. Well, that allows Gundam Unicorn actually to find a lot of angles to try and find an opening. You see James on that exit the entire time. He's looking for that opening to dive in, get that stun onto one player, and maybe focus them down onto that Sazabi quite possibly. Ashmar's getting a lot of damage. One shot on that Sazabi, but he does have a health pack to fall back to as Subject ends up going down. James will fall as well. What a turnaround here. The defense just lulls them into a false sense of security and then picks them apart.
Yeah, but you know, this is actually kind of a scary situation. A lot of people, yeah, I was about to say, a lot of players on BOZOS are actually very, very low. You could see them all getting down to pretty much one shot. It's just the damage was split amongst them so heavily. So realistically, before they could heal, there is the possibility that they could get a few downs. They could have to run back, but oh, very nice.
The headshot coming out from that sniper, taking out Tism, and now that is point A getting cracked on open. D was alive for a short time, but Spoo falling means they have almost no presence there whatsoever. Cheeky little peeks coming out from the XL player Duke here. He does catch out the Ashamar on that rotate, but a little bit longer to get that point. They will still secure it, and it's really not going to be an opportunity for them to contest here. 3 ticks coming on in. They don't have any G maneuvers really to rely upon for this as well. So Gundam Unicorn now will have about 6.5 minutes, 6 minutes and 13 seconds to try and capture point B.
Yeah, and just like last game, they're going to immediately switch back to the RX-78 instead of the Gym Sniper, which makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, Gym Sniper can be pretty good on this point, but it's not really as good as any, you know, as A on any point in the entire game. So we are just going to see the switch back to normal. We're going to see a pick on both sides, a 1-for-1.
Oh, but it's going in the favor of, it looks like BOZOS at this point, as they were able to hold the line here. Having that Pale Rider dish out consistent damage from mid. Gundam does end up picking up that health pack. You got to be careful there. Hyper Hammer misses as it looks like Tism's got his dancing shoes on for this one. And now he's right back to mid to try and apply pressure. The Exia charging up that dash. He's ready to bounce around with it. Ashmar has fallen as Focus takes out his counterpart. Now the Exia going in with the Trans Am available. Enders ends up picking up D there. And now not much value getting picked up from Duke with that Trans Am.
Yeah, and we're going to see a few people on the side of BOZOS going down. In fact, a lot more than a few right now. This is going to be most of Team Unicorn up. There were a few picks that are going to have to run back, but if they can kind of hold this defense at a choke point, we do see the punch. It's going to stun the Sazabi. Let's see if the Sazabi can go down. It looks like it's going to hold on for a little bit longer.
I got the
and he's healed up to full here, and we get a look at that actually from behind. Yeah. Never mind, it's a little bit delayed, so the Sazabi does go down. It's one more falling on D, and now you can see they're starting to lose presence here. The reinforcements are coming in. The Ashmar up top. They secured their second tick, about to get their third, but they're just waiting things out. The Hades getting the kill onto Baronox as Tism has that angle for himself. Subject will fall, and it's only going to be 2 ticks secured by Gundam Unicorn on this push. They still have 4.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I think that pretty much gets out of the range of having kind of similar times going into overtime, but that was a really, really strong push, and they just need to do that one more time to secure the entire thing and at least get it into an overtime. But it's going to be tough even if they do manage to do that. And look at this. He said he's ready. There's clearly been a plan formed. The huge, 3-person push over the side of the wall, and it does look like they're going to take out Duke. They're going to take out the Sazabi. Focus goes down, but they're still slightly ahead by numbers.
Oh, James trying to push in with that Trans Am. Baron is the only one up. For that gun side now. You can see isolated the Screaming Nimbus used just to try to get onto the point, and I don't want to see you hold on to that one. Instead, mad scramble fight on the left-hand side as the Pale Rider does end up going down for the defense here. But you can see Duke still in the back line. Now the Trans Am is activated, is able to dash right back into the fight, get the stun to one, has to deal with the Sazabi. He's really low on that armor, but it's really low on the HP for him. He's got the repair cable along with that armor gun. The Gundam ultimate out, clearing up the side. 1 person on the point might be able to secure that tick. No, they end up finishing him off and sending him back. Spoo ends up falling on the BOZOS side, but it's okay. They can play here off the low ground with that health pack, with that Methus heal, and they send the offense packing.
Oh, I cannot believe that Exia play was so fun. I cannot believe that they did not go down earlier, and they were so close to getting a health pack, but just not quite. Great hold, though, I gotta say, on the side of BOZOS, and now they're trying to get this positioning, but we're not seeing the offense stop at all. Yeah, that's a really scary spot just to be standing on that outside right there. You have the chance of being knocked off by a lot of different G maneuvers, but Tism, as usual, is just doing so much damage, just stopping anybody who's not focusing on him.
Yeah, you can see once again, I believe that was D pushing in from the right-hand side, but the Ashmars goes in. it looks like either we're just back to the neutral now. Once again, playing off this choke. You got the Methus turret in the back line just to cover in case of the flank comes out. And now they're going to charge forward. G maneuvers have been utilized. That's going to be the funnel. This zombie instantly taken down mid-air. Screaming Nimbus just to be safe, but D will fall for his efforts. They still win this team fight now, and they are starting to press the issue. Only 2 minutes remaining for the offense to get 2 more ticks.
And on top of that, there's so many G maneuvers available for BOZOS on the side of defense. Most specifically, and most importantly, the Hades available for Tism. That itself is probably still, I would say, the strongest G maneuver that we see. And there we go. It's popped immediately. It is going to try and completely shut this down. We're going to see 2 players already down on the offensive side. We're going to see the aggression out of Tism. Going to take down 3, 4, 5 players and the full team kill.
Wow, the Ashmar on the other side try to actually answer back, and down 2, I believe, with the punch, but that's G maneuver for G maneuver. Now either side might actually be empty on the tank, but with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, there's feasibly really only 1 push remaining here for Gundam Unicorn on the other side. Remember, BOZOS still have, what, 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on their timer. They back off, and they're going to try and bleed out their time, delaying for as long as possible.
Yeah, they are, regardless of what happens here, even if the last 2 ticks happen, it's going to be so good for them. But here we go. We're going to see a big flank all the way over from the Ashmar. There are 3 people standing there. It's going to be very easy to get focused by that. The Exia is low, but we're going to see the Trans Am popped, and that is going to be, again, so many players actually falling down for both sides, but this Trans Am is putting in a lot of work. Can it take down the Sazabi? It will, and that might be all that she wrote. I'm not sure if they can recover from this on offense. Wait, no, they've got plenty of people actually on the site. I missaw that.
Enders has gone down, though. They do find Duke, but it looks like Tism is up now. Only 33 seconds remaining. And it looks like it's going to be one last mad dash. No G maneuvers available on the side of the defense. They are close, I believe, 80% towards 1. We'll find out what it is in just a moment. Now swapping over to the offensive view. Gundam Unicorn were able to tie this up in round number 2, but it looks like BOZOS are on the verge of being able to take this one to map number 4 with the advantage. And now as they charge up, they've got the Ashmar punch. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. They need to get a body onto the point fairly shortly. 9 seconds remaining here as they're trying to push in for the right-hand side. The punch does not get much at all. He does end up taking out Enders. Or excuse me, 1 goes down on the side of the defense here, and they will be able to at least secure that finish with a little bit of time remaining. They will get, what, an additional minute 30 there, but look at the large discrepancy between the sides in terms of time.
Remaining time 0. That is tough. That is tough. Yeah, minute 30 versus 6 minutes and 10 seconds. That was a great push, though. That was extremely clutch. I mean, the chances of being able to make that effectively work were extremely low. They did not have very many resources. The punch actually didn't land, but they still just played that so well. And so we are going to see the overtime. It looks like we are going to be starting with Gundam Unicorn on, I believe, offense.
Yeah, they're going to be started off on the offense, and then it was a different kind of defense coming out from BOZOS, right? We saw 2 different styles. Holding closer to the corner was Gundam Unicorn on their defense. For BOZOS, they played way far back, basically on the point there. And it just came down to individual skirmishes, winning out the day for Gundam Unicorn to be able to take that point. But if they do, they haven't answered this time around for the defensive hold that, BOZOS had on point B.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm just trying to think of what the best situation that they could possibly get is. I don't know how they're going to push so far forward so quickly on A. I mean, I'm so stuck on this thought that they just don't have very much time. I'm actually kind of surprised they're not going to go. Wait, are we actually not going to see a sniper on? Oh, we're not going to see a sniper on the side of BOZOS. We're actually going to stick with the Dom. I bet that means they're going to be holding really far back and not even challenging this angle.
Yeah, they're just going to rely upon the raw damage coming out from Tism here. Again, since we are starting in the secondary rounds, everyone starts off 50% towards their G maneuver. We know how good that Duke is able to find these angles, sneak in some of those beam sabers, but he is having a little difficulty there. The swing around, taking the left-hand push, and they are answering for it. Tism has been spotted out, though, and he's got to be careful as he's trying to regroup with his squad. The death ball is moving in onto the point fairly shortly, but here's the dive out from Duke. He knocks one back, gets the kill on the other side, and it looks like the first hold is going to come out, and now it's going to come down to one final push for Gundam Unicorn.
Yeah, and the big thing here is they need to back up. They need to not get staggered because they don't have time to get staggered. Although it looks like, okay, actually, their shield on BOZOS' side goes down, so that's actually going to be potentially really huge. But speaking of stagger, that sniper is going to almost not be in the game at all. The Trans Am immediately wasted. That's actually huge for Gundam Unicorn.
Ism has picked up a few of those kills, though, and we get to see a rewind on that. Baranox going down on that sniper. Ashmar trying to get into the back line now, as they do have a good number of their team up. You can see as the Screaming Nimbus or the punch was actually used in that regard, and they end up taking out Spoo for the trade, but it looks like everything's going in the favor right now of Team BOZOS, and now there's only 10 seconds remaining, and they need to get a body on the point.
Yeah, there is some G maneuvers up. There are 3 G maneuvers up potentially, but if there's nobody on point, all the G maneuvers in the world don't matter. They are going to have one person on point, just melting completely quickly. Nobody in time to get there. So close with the Ashmar. Almost tried to use the punch to try to get there in time, but unfortunately, that is just not going to be quite it. So now, I mean, it was a great attempt. They almost made the push. They got a lot of trades, but now it is going to be one of the most difficult uphill battles for them to get into a tie here against Gundam Unicorn with a full 6 minutes and 10 seconds of time to simply partially take the first point, I believe. I don't think they actually got a single tick on it, so that is going to be really difficult. And again, as a reminder for anybody watching this is the grand finals. It's 3 out of 5, so even if we do see the win here from BOZOS, this is not over yet since we're at 1-1.
And for BOZOS, I mean, 4 minutes, or I forget exactly how much, but they have like 6 something, right?
610 total, yeah.
610 total. Just secure 1 tick on point A. You can see that golden bar right there. That's all they need to push forward to. And again, they're not starting off with a gym sniper. They're not falling into that one. They're going to allow, if Gundam Unicorn want to play that, well, all you have to do is just not play around the sight lines. For Gundam Unicorn, they did hold a little bit further up than what we saw BOZOS on their defensive end. They're playing on the close corner, giving up that left push. We'll see if they want to try and hold close again, or if they're going to run something similar. Mahiru hover, nope, never mind. We're going back to the Memphis.
You know that we love to see the Mahiru in this household, but yeah, Mahiru definitely not the pick I would choose here, sadly. Although I might choose Mahiru anywhere just because it's fun like that. Actually, Mahiru on defense here can be really obnoxious for the very first push. But here we go, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. BOZOS doesn't have to take any huge risks, right? They can wait for picks, they can play safe, but a way more forward hold here. And look at this, we're already seeing a ton of damage getting put onto BOZOS.
They also got the early confirmation that, yeah, it is going to be a sniper composition for them, so we're going to silly dive onto him. Baranox has fallen, but they end up losing out on their Sazabi once again. The focus fire onto the takes have been fantastic, but you can take a look now as things start falling apart. This is where Duke comes alive. When he finds these individual skirmishes, now he's got the health pack to heal him back up. He's got the armor gun as well, and he finds one more kill onto subject, and now things are falling apart for the defense. This is BOZOS now on the verge of taking a 2-1 lead, setting themselves onto match point. Trans Am just for the victory lap, and now BOZOS take the lead 2-1 as we head to Ministry of Defense.
I didn't even get a chance to say anything that game. That's how fast that was. They could have traded times and BOZOS would have still won. That's how fast they took that point. That was exactly what Gundam Unicorn needed to do, and it was what BOZOS did, and a spectacular statement. But I mean, this really just goes to show the strength of both of these teams at different things, right? We saw in the first game, it was domination. It was 1-2, so it was close in its own way, but then we saw a dominant game on Quarry from Team Gundam Unicorn, and now we see a dominant game on Harbor City. Oh, maybe not as dominant as the Quarry game, but dominant in overtime and on time overall from BOZOS. And I just love seeing that, right? It's clearly all these teams have a lot more to practice on all of these different maps, a lot more strategies, but they are doing just amazing in showing off what each team can do.
Now 2-1, BOZOS take the lead. They are on match points in this best of 5. Ministry of Defense, yes, is our 4th map. We're going to go ahead and take a short break here, though, for the breakout series Halloween Havoc. When we get back, will we have the absolute conclusion on map number 4? Or can Gundam Unicorn hold on to send us to a map number 5? Well, we'll have to find out right after this break.
Being sniped out when you go for the repairers, you can see them start to just try and move forward. Max 94% to the ultimate.
Objective here, Payan does get Stolly. Carl Sagan gets Kyler, but the headshot comes. The 8 point is now under contest. And Dream hits those shots once more.
Stunned through. And it is now going to be just absolute...
Carl Sagan! Carl Sagan! Oh
Carl
my
Sagan
God!
coming in with the absolute clutch Zaku to melee G maneuver.
Welcome to the Gundam Evolution Breakout Series. This video will explain the format for competitive Gundam evolution across the North America and European regions, and how you can become a participant in the series. Teams will participate in the Breakout Series for a chance to compete in the Gundam Evolution New Type and Academy Leagues. The Breakout Series will include 2 regions, North America and Europe. Over 4 months, teams will fight to gain points based on placements in each event. Teams will compete in 6 total events to gather points to qualify them for the New Type or Academy Leagues. Each event will host a 2-day double elimination bracket where the top 8 teams will gain points towards their qualification into the international leagues. At the end of the series, based on the rankings, the top 8 international teams will automatically qualify for the Gundam Evolution New Type League. The following 4 will automatically qualify for the Gundam Evolution Academy League. For the Breakout Series, we will be implementing a map ban system. Teams will pick and ban maps based on the poll vote via the community. The maps that will be rotation for the Breakout Series are Underground Command Center, Harbor City, Mountain R&D Lab, Thermoplant, Quarry, Flag Fort, and Ministry of Defense. Additionally, we listen to feedback from the community, and we will be putting Zaku2 Melee in the competitive quarantine. This means that throughout the Breakout Series, Zaku2 Melee will not be allowed to be picked within competitive play. Next, let's talk about your paths into the New Type League. Following the Breakout Series, 2 open qualifiers will be hosted for a chance for pilots to participate in the Academy League. Teams will participate in a double elimination style bracket, with the top 8 teams qualifying for the closed qualifiers. The top 2 teams at the end of each closed qualifiers will be invited to participate in the Academy League. The Academy League will feature 8 rising teams competing to hone their skills and play for a chance to promote onto the New Type League. The Breakout Series is the beginning of an ecosystem where competitors across North America and Europe can compete to prove they are the best of the best. We look forward to seeing you compete, pilot. It's time to earn your stripes.
Hey, welcome back to the Breakout Series Halloween Havoc. I'm Jamerson, joined once again by Wonder Chef just before the break on Harbor City. It was BOZOS taking the lead once again, 2-1, setting themselves to match points in our best of 5. Now, here for map number 4, we are moving on to Ministry of Defense, and I'm trying to get confirmation. It's going to be BOZOS starting off on the defense here for Ministry.
So now that we're in grand finals with the entire tournament for the very first time, we can talk about Ministry of Defense, and what a strange map it is that could potentially be the deciding map for the entire tournament, as we now have a 2-1 lead, of course, for BOZOS. So they just need to win this map and they're going to win. Otherwise, we're going to go to a game 5, which will be on it was on Thermoplant, I think.
Yeah, Thermoplant. So
yeah.
I mean, there's a chance that, and someone was asking in Lunar in chat, hey, can we see Lunar Calm? Well, if we end up getting a draw here in Ministry of Defense, and who is it? If Gundam Unicorn end up winning out on Thermoplant, yes, we would get a draw, and then we would move on to Lunar Calm Station. But it has to be a draw here. Otherwise, there will be a deciding map number 5, or at least map number 4. So this is going to be exciting. Again, we haven't seen Ministry of Defense, but I don't think really anything changes on this map in terms of compositions and how you want to play things out.
Yeah. Also, just to specify too, like it's not just going to be a draw by the actual game. Like even if they go to overtime, if they would have to draw completely on time as well to get that entirely. So maybe we'll see it, but probably not. But yeah, so I want to talk though about Ministry of Defense, because it is a strange map, right? We are going to see undoubtedly a lot of flyers. We've already been seeing a lot of flyers throughout the day, but it is one of the strongest maps for flyers, right? You can get from spawn, the very first spawn on offense, to a bomb site on the first bomb site in seconds, in the span of like one flight, basically, which is just so unique, basically, from any other point. And not only that, it's not like you're flying over a bunch of sightlines, you're flying over a mountain. So the defense usually, I haven't seen this competitively, of course. It's the first time we're seeing it in the tournament, but I believe that a lot of the times the defense is going to hold very far back, and sometimes you even see people actually give up the waypoint. The waypoint in this one is not a middle ground between the first point and the spawn. The waypoint is all the way off to the side and gives you a secondary angle to attack the first bomb sites from. So there are a lot of different interesting ways that you can play this map, whether you play very far forward to try to hold them at like a choke that they can't get to anywhere, or holding it really far back, giving up the waypoint. I don't know which one either of these teams is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think with the reliance that we have on Pale Riders and our Pale Rider players, that, yeah, going for that waypoint can be strong because you will have access to that high ground railing. But that's if you're going to want to go ahead and plant for that B site. I think it might behoove a lot of our players to actually go for that left lane and take that high ground there first. We'll see, though, how the defense wants to hold it. We have not seen this one competitively yet so far, so I don't know exactly how this one plays out. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The waypoint, a lot of teams, even on the offense, can just absolutely forego it and try to go for that rush. Having those 3 lanes initially, there's so many options that the defense have to kind of consider, that it becomes so difficult to really try and hold down all 3. What, are you going to send 2-man squad to each lane, heading up to the middle of the map, or do you just want to continue to play this death ball style?
Yeah, it's very difficult to make the correct call right there. That is, I think, why we tend to see so many people playing really safe and reserved and on the point there. Because if you commit, let's say, even half your team to defending the waypoint, and they decide that they want to just rush through and to just push, like you said, all the way through that left side where you kind of get that like overhang that's looking over point A. Then if they just push all the way through there, then suddenly you're totally out of position. They're closer to the point than you are, and even if you do manage to get a few picks, get a few kills off, they just spawn really close to that. So the spawn is just really close. There's a bunch of ways to go. It can be very hard to defend the very first point. The second point, once we get there, it's a very different story, right? It's these big square rooms that are either above or below, and you see some very unique picks in there because, I mean, Melee is extremely strong at attacking and defending that point, but of course we don't have the Zaku 2 Melee, so it can be just extremely chaotic. And again, that one's a very important waypoint that you definitely want to take or retake. So this map can go a whole bunch of different ways on point A, a whole bunch of different ways on the second bomb site. It's a weird one, and there's definitely a reason why this is the first time that we've ever seen this map in this broadcast, for very good reason. It's a weird map.
Yeah, we're just waiting now for our players to get ready, and we will get things underway. Like we said, BOZOS will be starting on the defense first. Again, I mean, while this is a map where you can play off of a sniper, I don't think we're going to see it. It seems like, sniper left a little bit of bad taste in the mouth of BOZOS, so definitely not really on the cards for them. There are a lot of high grounds to play around, but I think because of the availability of trying to plant on point B and snipers not having the best of sightlines there, you're going to be, of course, I think more, it would be more beneficial to just play the regular dive that we've been seeing today. What I'm wondering, though, on the Gundam Unicorn side is if they're going to opt for that RX-78. They've been playing it all day today. It has been used to great effect. It has been a great answer to try and deal with the Sazabi on the side of Team BOZOS.
Yeah, I mean, especially on not point B, the second set of bomb sites, I could very much see it working. Maybe not seeing the mace quite as much in the first set of bombs, but I mean, just that range, I think the RX-78 matches this level really well. And you were talking about sniper. There is a strategy that, I mean, I've seen a few teams use well on this map where if you get the waypoint and you can push forward and plant on on A, the bomb site that's actually above ground. I've seen a lot of teams actually go back to the waypoint, switch to Gym Sniper just to defend once they've confirmed that they've planted, because you can walk right out from this waypoint and just look directly at A, and it is very, very difficult for people to deal with you from that range. And then as soon as they actually manage to make it explode, or if they need to replant, they just walk back and shift around again. Of course, you do lose a lot of G meter for that, potentially a lot of your potential G maneuver, but I've seen it work really well if they can manage to go for that waypoint side. And some teams I've seen win without even taking that first waypoint. So it's a million strategies.
I think right now, though, because of how prevalent Ashmar is in these compositions and what our teams are playing, if you do get the point A, make a charge plants, honestly, all you need to rely upon is the Molotov. It just does so much damage, and then you can just focus fire down. If you try to go for that defuse, you need to get the Sazabi on top, and also body block with like 2 other units to possibly get that mega charge defusal there. But now, as we take a look at the compositions, it will be the RX-78 coming in for that Flex 6 pick for this squad.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for me. The ranges are just, there can be some ranges in this map. This is a lot of weird ranges too. Sometimes you have to fight really close up, and sometimes you fight a little bit further than like Pale Rider's drop off. And so RX-78 can hit those ranges really well, especially this first one. If people tend to hold forward here, which I'm assuming they're probably not going, oh, never mind. This is a really far forward hold on defense. They're actually going to be sending about half their team, I think, to the waypoint. We're going to see the Ashmar get downed, but of course it falls to a safe place. One of the best advantages of Ashmar.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about, though. They're going to go ahead and not fight for that waypoint. They're just going to send themselves to the left-hand side, get their Pale Rider on that high ground. The challenge is here, though. Chism is going to try and fight from the other side. You can see that they have their Sazabi up close, trying to find a flank on the Ashmar to try and get that Molotov down. But now they have been able to establish themselves on the high ground. Duke has been challenged. He goes in for the dash. Only gets the stun, does not get the confirm. And now this is about the slow work coming out from Gundam Unicorn on their offense that really wrestled this position in their favor.
Yeah, they're all starting to regroup here. It looks like the Sazabis made their way up, and now they can make an effective push here. There's a lot of people to the side over by the actual spawn for the side of BOZOS, and it looks like they might be getting picked off, but they're doing a great job of actually retreating before they overcommit. Not so much right there. It looks like we're going to see at least one down, at least Die is going to go down. The Exia is going to barely escape on the side of Duke, but this is just a lot of picks on both sides, and the run back is so fast on both on this map.
Dom and Pale Rider are still up here along with the Exia now, and so they might actually be able to hold down this position, cut off the reinforcements coming in from the flank. You can see now that they're relying upon those health packs to get back on up, and here's the Pale Rider run back for Tism, and the Mega, it looks like the waypoint is actually going to get picked up. Exia spotted out here, and it looks like Duke is on the hunt.
Oh yeah, that's the classic. Dude is always on the hunt, but yeah, this is really scary because both of these spots can be potentially really easy to defend for defense if they do manage to get that singular plant. You can see there's so many lines of sight on A from literally every single angle that you could possibly get to, and then from B, I mean, it's just in this enclosed little spot. So we just need to see one plant on the side of Gundam Unicorn, but I do love that sneakiness to get away to back up a little bit there.
In that Hyper Hammer opening things up, and it's going to be the Sazabi going down first for BOZOS, and now they need to wait. Mega Charge has gone down onto the A side, so this is going to be a very difficult retake for them. Again, we're talking about how big of a effect that Ashmar has, but the Hyper Hammer to try and stop the defuse along with the stun from the Exia. But here comes the Trans Am. Speaking of Exias, and there's the first dive on in. Trophy is the first one to fall, and he's on the hunt for more. He does have to be careful here, fighting up against that Ashmar, but he will be able to get that. Their shield has fallen, but he is the only trade so far until Die goes down, and that's going to be a full team wipe, it looks like, in just a moment, and he's going to get the free defuse. Never mind, the Exia is here to stop it with the Trans Am himself. He buys enough time, quite possibly, for the respawns, but no, the body block is here. All 3 members right on top of him, and you can see the Ashmar was not enough. You need a little bit more extra damage than that nade to burst through that defense.
Yeah, and you can see how difficult it is to actually get a defuse off on A. That was expertly executed by BOZOS. That was pretty much as perfect as you could get. They had to use a lot of G maneuvers just to get that off, and still they had to accept that they were going to take a lot of damage just sitting on that spot, shielding each other with their bodies, but they did it perfectly.
Looks like the punch was used from the offense there, and really, they didn't get anything off of it. It's a full clean wipe, and they get the waypoint away from the Gundam Unicorn squad. Now they're left with 1 minute and 22 seconds, possibly 2 final pushes, but you know you have to set up so far in advance for this, and they're going for the left side push, which we saw them squander away about 1 minute total going for that one last time around. They don't really have the time to work with it, but it looks like that's what they're going to commit to.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of picks when they went this way last time, but oh yeah, that's actually going to give away a lot of information, I think, showing the Ashmar above the mountains. It's going to say, okay, hold on, a lot of people are coming that direction. We do see a lot of people from BOZOS circle around, but if that Sazabi goes down, that's going to be a huge first pick, and it does, but they do manage to take an Omni James on the Exia to trade.
And it looked like Be Their Shield was just caught out once again by himself. Profi falls, and it looks like the Hades is enough to force them back. And Duke, once again, finding so much value with this Exia. Focus does get a knock onto D. Will they be able to get the confirm onto it? It looks like they're trying to finish him off.
Okay.
But Focus, he gets caught by an errant nade coming in, and Methus ends up sticking that res to get D back on up. And now it's scramble time. 25 seconds remaining for Gundam Unicorn to try and get the plant.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw just some attempts to fly over here. Actually, they're going to stick a little bit more with the team. There's not a lot of time. Nope, they are going to fly over. They have to sneak around. We are going to see some picks here. James is going to get that pick on the Sazabi, but it looks like the punch is going to prevent the Ashramar from Focus, from planting, and only 2 seconds left. Somebody needs to get on, and nobody can. They were so close a bunch of times, but they only managed to get that one singular plant, and at the very final moment, they were able to disarm that. So amazing defense from BOZOS, and that is going to put them now on tournament points for this entire tournament. All they need to do is do a slightly better job on offense than Gundam Unicorn was able to.
Yeah, they just need to get that plant down. What is it? 85.3%. That's how far they got on that mega charge. So this is going to be a tough ask, but again, we saw how difficult it can be to push into Ministry of Defense. I mean, everyone does kind of agree that Point A feels like it is very defensive sided with the way that you're able to set up. We'll see how Team BOZOS are going to approach this one. Again, they are on the verge of taking a 3-1 up against Gundam Unicorn in a fairly convincing manner. Other than, what we had on Quarry, it went clearly the other two maps in favor of BOZOS.
Yeah, talking about being defensive favored, that's the interesting thing about this particular game type, is that the stronger that a spot is defensively, the better it is once you actually get the plant, right? So this is just such a weird polarizing spot because, I did not know you could stand up there. Look at that. They're showing us some little in-spawn tricks. Just stay up there the entire time. I wonder if they're going to do anything with that, or they're just up there for fun.
They're just showing it off. I like that. I love that. I mean, you learn something new every day. Right now, we had a pretty aggressive hold, right, coming out from BOZOS on the defense. They were playing, I believe, the mid lane. I say mid lane because, you have these 3 diverging paths here, and it's going to be a very similar hold coming out. But this time, it's going to be BOZOS actually going straight for that waypoint. So they want to try and turn the screws from that waypoint. They do have to deal with the full 6-man actually over here, and this could actually they get punished extremely hard. There's the first pick. They end up taking out Enders. They'll be able to secure that as well in just a moment. A second pick onto Focus, and now they're pushing for the point. The high ground getting contested. Duke is able to get that knock and get the confirm. They don't have the waypoint, but is it gonna matter if they get the plant? The make charge will go down as Duke falls, but will someone be able to run back, maybe get that waypoint and get him back in sooner? Ooh, the defense are here to now try and take him out.
Yeah, that was such a good push, and that's another one of the reasons why it's so risky to actually defend the waypoint on this stage. It can just really work against you, and it clearly did in that spot. And they're gonna, they might be even giving up this plant to try and get this waypoint. It does seem like there's not a lot of people defending it. It looks like it's gonna be gone. Yeah, they're just saying, we're gonna regroup. We're a little bit staggered. Let's get this waypoint, and then look how close this waypoint is to this point. You can literally throw a grenade from spawn. Oh my, what a shot!
Oh, the headshots along with that nade coming in, and now he wants to go in for the confirm, chasing after that Dom Trooper. Enders is might be caught out here as Duke goes for that chase, but he will end up going down. Enders falling. It's the man advantage now with that res onto Duke. All 6 members up for BOZOS as they are going for that plant onto A. The Exia is not there to try and get the deny on it. You can see how well Tism is doing now on this Tail Rider, just controlling the battlefield, dodging out all the threats. Duke is just being an absolute nuisance in the back line, and they might not even have the time to try and touch the point. There's only about 25 seconds left to even try to start that defuse. You can see they have given up height. Tism has not been able to get back on height for his team, but they're starting to establish that position.
Yeah, this is their only chance. They need to make this all work 100% right now, but you can see that BOZOS is so split up that even if a few people get picked off, you cannot safely disarm the bomb. That is the scariest thing about this A site. We see the RX-78 ult go in. It's not going to do anything. It's going to be destroyed. We're going to see an attempt to disarm, but that's the best they can do, and I think that's going to be it.
That's the 3-1 BOZOS. Take it in 4. Gundam Unicorn were able to make them bleed, taking the first map off of BOZOS. But beyond that, it was basically a clean sweep throughout the tournament for BOZOS. And what an amazing display coming out from them across the last 2 days.
Yeah, they were, one of the favorites to win. They showed exactly why. I mean, they are dominant right now. They show no signs of weakness. This set was the first time I think that they showed that they could, like you said, bleed at all. Taking their first game loss, maybe in tournament ever for Gundam Evolution, managing to get pretty close. Getting some round losses here and there, but still, despite all of that, they showed just how strong they are by adapting to every single thing that happens to them. And in the end, they had just an immaculate showing. Nobody could quite stand up to them. And it's because their team is just so solid, right? There is just no weak link in their team.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that from the side of Gundam Unicorn, they tried to create a weak link, right? They dealt with Duke early on in the series and were able to respond, but their main answer was try to win the tank battle. They brought in the RX-78 to have that extra shield pressure, that hyper hammer, and they were doing a great job. B, their shield was going down initially in a lot of these fights, and really that's off the back of that RX-78 pick. But beyond that, when it came down to the mad scrambles, Duke, when he's able to play with a little bit more freedom because the focus is off him and onto the tank, you get to see what he's able to do on that Exia.